we know in the past may not be there anymore.
Spreading misinformation and disinformation can have just an equivalent impact as the virus itself.
When you take a vaccine, you're not doing it only for yourself, but for your loved ones, for the people closest to you, and for the rest of the country.
The diseases that these vaccines protect us against are more dangerous than the vaccine.
The treatment does not get rid of the virus, but it prevents the virus from weakening your immune system.
We know how to fight HIV. It's about political will. It's about, making choices.
I think LGBTQ plus is not just a community, it's a pocket of communities.
Love cannot be limited to male and female.
Kindness is really the currency of our time.
It's never a sign of a weakness of one's character. If we want to seek help, if we want to talk to someone.
Number 1, you can get cured. Number 2, it's not your fault that you have this disease.
Don't fall for these fad diets because it might be detrimental in the long run.
And it's because they're trying to deny that they have the disease. But once you accept it, and you learn to live with it. And it's really very easy to be living with diabetes.
Love your eyes and your eyes will love you back.
Shift from the fear of COVID to living with it, and that the normal that we know in the past may not be there anymore.
Spreading misinformation and disinformation can have just an equivalent impact as the virus itself.
When you take a vaccine, you're not doing it only for yourself, but for your loved ones, for the people closest to you, and for the rest of the country.
The diseases that these vaccines protect us against are more dangerous than the vaccine.
The treatment does not get rid of the virus, but it prevents the virus from weakening your immune system.
We know how to fight HIV. It's about political will. It's about, making choices.
I think LGBTQ plus is not just a community, it's a pocket of communities.
Love cannot be limited to male and female.
Kindness is really the currency of our time.
It's never a sign of a weakness of one's character. If we want to seek help, if we want to talk to someone.
Number 1, you can get cured. Number 2, it's not your fault that you have this disease.
Don't fall for these fad diets because it might be detrimental in the long run.
And it's because they're trying to deny that they have the disease. But once you accept it, and you learn to live with it, and it's really very easy to be living with diabetes.
Love your eyes and your eyes will love you back.
Okay, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. Welcome po sa Kumusta Doc, dito lamang po sa Hello Dr. PH. Excited po kami kasi Women's Month pa rin tayo, no? This is the second episode on women's health. And para sa mga kapwa ko babae, whether physical man or sa puso, belated Happy International Women's Day. Of course, with us today are Justin Marpuri and Bianchi Mendoza. Hello, Justin and Bea.
Hi Kai. Hi, Justin.
Hi, Kai. Bianchi.
Okay, before we go, excited ako to jump into our discussion kasi syempre mental health, no? Mental health na pag-uusapan natin. Pero before we begin and while we wait for our mental health champions, na sina Doc Dex Galban if he is able to join, because I heard yesterday he wasn't feeling so good. And Doc Villa Roderos, who they're also the founders of Happy Hour for Mental Health. Okay? Sa inyo, ano ang relevance ng ng Women's Day, no? Ng International Women's Day at saka ng Women's Month as a whole?
Siguro I can go first. It's very important na i-celebrate natin yung Women's Day and Women's Month. Kasi in this day and age, meron pa rin discrimination, harassment, alam mo yun, na parang prejudice against women. Kahit na marami naman tayo na-achieve na in terms of women empowerment, di ba? Pero kailangan pa rin i-celebrate and empower yung mga babae and to raise awareness sa mga issues that plague them sa workplace, issues sa home. And now, yung mental health is also very important kasi it affects, kaya gaya nga ng sinasabi ng mga doctors natin every time, mental health affects your overall health. So, napaka-important ng Women's Day, Women's Month, at ng episode na to today.
Okay. How about you, Justin?
Yes. So, very important, syempre, na i-celebrate natin ang Women's Day and Women's Month dahil marami ang contribution ng babae sa society. Historically, di ba, maraming prejudices na pinaglaban at napagtagumpayan ng mga babae na hanggang ngayon, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung laban, tuloy-tuloy pa rin yung pakikipaglaban for equality sa madami pang issues related to women empowerment. So very important din yung ating topic ngayon for mental health. Very timely, especially ngayon na nasa isang pandemya pa rin tayo. So imagine gaano kadami yung ginajuggle ng isang babae, personal life, family life, work life, plus ito pa nga may pandemic, tapos madami pang issues sa society na kanyang pinaglalaban. So mahalaga na tuloy-tuloy yung conversation regarding these topics. So ayun, Kai.
Yeah, para sa akin naman, tama si Bianchi, no? Kasi kahit na gaano natin isipin na parang forward thinking na o nag-advance na yung culture natin, actually, pag I remember nung nasa physical offices pa tayo no, before the pandemic, yung makikita mo talaga yung yung entourage ng mga lalaki. Alam mo yon, parang merong boys club. You know what I mean? Whereas, pag merong clique ang mga babae, tatawagin nating mga queen bee, tatawagin nating, para bang hindi pa rin talaga fair pagdating sa perception, no? Na okay lang pag lalaki, okay lang ang single dad. Cool pa nga, hot pa nga eh. Pero pag sinabing single mom, medyo, to be honest, speaking as a single parent, may iba pa rin treatment. Kaya na, kung nanonood si Real Talk Darbs na malabo, pero hi Real Talk Darbs. Ang ganda ng video mo about single moms. Pinapanood ko na siya ngayon, so funny. So anyway, let's jump into our topic. Siguro, before we, ayan na si Doc Dex. Hi, Doc Dex.
Hi, Doc Dex. Magandang tanghali.
Hi, Doc. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here and welcome again to another Kumusta Doc special. Really excited about the topic today kasi, of course, we're celebrating International Women's Day and very close to my heart ang topic na mental health.
Yes.
Yeah, Doc, next question. Kasi di ba kayo ni Doc V ang founders ng Happy Hour for Mental Health. Pakikwento naman, no, para rin sa mga nanonood who don't know that aside from being a nurse, a doctor, ano ba, a government official commissioner, a student of a master's degree student, and someone who is not feeling well right now, you are also a mental health advocate. Why did you and Doc Via, on top of all of your other projects, no, with the government or NGOs, why Happy Hour for Mental Health?
Great. So I'll speak for myself first because for sure Doc Via has her own wonderful story about it. Because before, I was very much involved when it came to advocating against substance abuse. And this is related to your smoking, alcohol, juice. And then what got me thinking was, okay, this is great. We were able to help push for policies, pass laws, graphic health warnings law, etc. And then I thought, maybe we can dive deeper as to why exactly people overdrink or use or spend actually on cigarettes, alcohol, or illegal drugs. So that got me into the path of learning more about the other social determinants of health. Yung mga bagay na pwedeng maging trigger sa'yo, kawalan ng trabaho, kahirapan, kawalan ng suporta pagdating sa mental health, the lack of family well-being, and promotion, particularly since right now, based on the sessions that we have, one of the things that we've noted is that a lot of people are exhibiting or manifesting mental health related concerns from the context of the family. So really from there on, it's not just a problem in the workplace. It actually is also a problem in the home. More so if there is a disjunct kung ano yung perception ng magulang mo pagdating sa mental health at yung sa sarili mo. So there are a lot of factors to consider. So I eventually dove into the mental health advocacy, helping push and champion the Mental Health Act. Then eventually, Doc V and I, alongside our dear friend Doc Gia, he said, "Hi, Doc Gia," developed the Happy Hour for Mental Health program, wherein we would used to have every Friday of every month a happy hour session. Open field siya for anyone who is in need of support, whether you're a college student, a young professional. We've had lawyers, we've had students, college students, medical students. We've had career executives join us. And it was super interesting kasi we did it in very public places. At bakit siya happy hour? Kasi we thought it would be cool for you to help lessen the stigma. Kasi yung iba natatakot na saan ka punta? Therapy lang ako, support group lang ako. So they don't like that stigma kasi meron pa rin siyang attached meaning. So we wanted to go, pag Friday kasi, happy hour day yan, di ba? So after work, enjoy, labas-labas, with friends. So we wanted to give them an out just so that if ever they're still not comfortable with saying that they're part of a support group or probably an open network, then they can say, happy hour lang ako. So sounds good, sounds open, sounds wonderful. And even if they go there, it really is just a bunch of friends talking about their concerns, issues, and feelings with no judgment. And we were so happy that we were able to work with different cafes who would host us, and we're still working with them right now. So that's really wonderful. So long story short, hama na ng monologue ko. But eventually we transformed Happy Hour as a brand that's now being used as a program sa Alaga Health and is actually a full-blown mental health first aider certification program in our other venture, which is Experto Play Labs. And it actually is the cheapest and most affordable way to get members of your company and even your school to gain access to first aid, mental health training, and even mental health facilitation. So really wonderful to talk about it, but let's jump into the questions of our audience today.
Oh, hello. Yes, okay, Doc Dex. Thank you. Doc Via, hello.
Hi, Doc V. Magandang tanghali.
Hi, good afternoon, Miss Kaiser Justin, Miss Bianchi. It's really good to see you again. And happy International Women's Month, Women's Day po sa ating mga kababaihan. And of course, those who celebrate it with our wonderful women anywhere in the world po, sa ating mga nanay, tita, lola, kaibigan, kapatid. No? What a way to celebrate it by talking about mental health.
Yeah. So, Doc V, Doc Dex G, yung mental health profile ng Filipino woman or siguro ng babae o Filipino woman, can you describe it to us? How is the Filipino woman today as far as mental health is concerned?
Doc, I think this is a perfect question for Doc V. Yeah, as a woman.
All right. Okay, sige. Ang ganda, no? Let's talk about the mental health of Filipinas. Actually, before the pandemic, mas maraming naitatalang cases, of suicide in men than women. And that actually says a lot about how we cope with our mental well-being, with our mental health challenges. For women, there are a lot of challenges that we need to face, especially since we are in a very patriarchal society. Parang nagiging ironic, na there is a notion of us being made peculiar if there is a woman joining a predominantly male job. For example, um, in a corporate setting, no? Sobrang peculiar to find a woman who's heading a company, which isn't supposed to be weird because we have to normalize women leading organizations. And this gives a lot of insight as to how a woman, for example, a Filipino, would have to overcome a lot of hurdles for them to just be acknowledged, for them to have opportunities, you know. And also, there are limitations. You know, you hear some limitations. Syempre, of course, we don't hear about it as openly because it's taboo, no? But there have been a lot of limitations on what a woman can do because of certain conditions, because of certain dahil babae sila, no? For example, this job is only limited to men because women have certain limitations. They can get pregnant, they can etc. etc. So the mere fact that we had to go through a lot of hurdles might show how resilient, or gives a picture of how resilient a woman, a Filipino woman can be. No, I watched a particular Korean drama. I think it's called World of the Married. I'm not sure if everyone is familiar. No, it was adapted.
Yes, Doc.
Yes, no? I'm sure Miss Bianchi knows this, yung mga K-drama classmates dyan, no? Kaway-kaway
Yes.
tayo. So, yun dun sa World of the Married, bakit pag, kunyari, naging single parent or naging divorced yung isang babae, why is it that the woman what the society blames the woman?
Yeah.
Parang yung fault, parang naku-crucify yung woman unfairly because of it. And the fact that a woman has to go through a lot, is a testament to her resilience. But sabi nga natin, hindi naman tayo lahat si Superman, no? There are times where we can get tired. There are times that we would want to stop. And that's something that we have to highlight, especially when we talk about mental health. That mental health encompasses everything, more than just, how we feel. It also is attached to what we can do, what we can achieve, what our potential is in the future. So I'm really happy that Hello Doctor is putting a spotlight on this, and especially in their articles. Nakikita niyo po dito yung IWD 2020 stories. So these are stories from inspiring women, no, who have been celebrated, and I think we should do it every day. No, we should celebrate women, no? And all those who have been going through a lot as well. Sorry na pahaba. Because we feel strongly about it. Yeah.
Yes, Doc. Yeah, thank you, Doc, for that. Before we jump into, we have a few audience questions at chat I saw. I wanted to jump off from the point you made. Kasi throughout our discussion so far, napapansin ko po yung recurring na nadidiscuss natin ay yung pressure sa mga Filipino women. Alam mo, may iba distinct yung pressure. I mean, as adults, we all feel pressure sa workplace, sa home. Pero there's something distinct po sa pressure on Filipino women. Like you mentioned, World of the Married, diba? Iba yung pressure on her to be the perfect wife, the perfect mother, the perfect a doctor for her profession. Diba? Doctor po yung lead character doon. So, paano po ba for the women watching who are feeling the same pressure po to be perfect all the time or to have everything under control, diba? How do you what are healthy ways to deal with pressure para hindi po maapektuhan yung mental health mo? Parang sometimes po kasi nakakalimutan din yung self-care, diba, self-love. Paano po yung mga healthy coping mechanisms para sa mga babae?
One of the things that we would always encourage people is that they are enough. No one can impose on them what their value is, no, as a mother, as a daughter, as a working mom, as a single parent. Sometimes there is that pressure that is bestowed upon them by the society na parang you have to live up to it. But I think I would be a contrarian na dapat how we see ourselves should dictate how the society would see us. Na parang our value and how we see ourselves, how we value ourselves is enough, no? Siyempre mahirap sabihin 'yon. Sobrang mahirap i-imbibe 'yon kasi sometimes there might be days wherein it's really bad without ourselves, no? There are days wherein yung nakikita ng tao we are very strong, no? Pero deep inside we uh we have a lot of things that we're carrying, no? And this is where we emphasize, no, that mental health is and the battle against the stigma on mental health, especially for women, is not gonna be won alone, no? There is a need for us to encourage people to see that value in themselves as well, because saying that I am enough will actually create that ripple of creating that ripple of um, reciprocity also to another person. Na since you see yourself as someone who can do a lot of things because you see that value in you, you would also want to extend that to another person, to another woman, no? And I think this was from my mentor before. I hope she's watching. She's Teacher Koi. She told me that yes, it's good, really. It's essential for us to see the value in ourselves, but it doesn't hurt to also acknowledge that in another person. So that's why I would always tell my participants or anyone that I can talk to na if you have the chance to extend a simple a simple acknowledgement of a person na, hey, you're great, you're enough, and that society shouldn't tell you what your value is. That helps a lot actually. Kasi ang hirap din minsan na you have that certain you have to put yourself in that predisposition, knowing well enough na nahihirapan ka na. So that was what my mentor, yun yung tumatak sa akin talaga, one of the previous conversations that I had with my mentor. Sabi niya, it also doesn't hurt to acknowledge it in another person. That's why mental health and the fight, the challenges against mental health and well-being is won as a community, and we have to lift each other up in order for us to win that fight.
Yes, important po yung pag-empower sa isa't isa, no? As we empower ourselves then, we empower other women. So, Justin, I think we have questions from our viewers.
Yes, so we have a question from Jam Montaje. So why is it important that women's mental health issues be addressed separately?
Wow, this is a super relevant question, and I think I can probably take a stab at this. First and foremost, there are a lot of issues that are primarily related to women. You have your postpartum depressions, right? You have the notion of feeling mental health burnout because you are being discriminated or more likely to be discriminated at work. Possibly not just in terms of how they treat you, but also structural. Pwede na you're the same level position, you're doing the exact same job, but why is the man being given a higher pay than the woman? It's institutional. And at the same time, the pressure of society, pulling yun sa example ni Doc Villa kanina na from the world of the married, actually that applies a lot in the Philippines kasi very familial yung context natin na baka ano sabihin nila na hindi ka na siyang magaling na nanay, na puro na lang trabaho, na pabayaan yung anak. Automatic na the blame somehow goes to the mom. When in fact, it is supposed to be a familial endeavor, no? It's not just supposed to be the woman's job. But the thing is, for the longest time, women have been framed to be the one who is supposed to be in charge of everything, yet they take all of the blame, right? That is something that needs to be highlighted because, to be quite frank, some of the most amazing people that I know are women. And they have gone through so many challenges And a little shout out to my mom, to my teachers, to my friends, my colleagues. Ayan, dito sa this call alone, Doc Via, Miss Kai, Ma'am Bianchi. Yeah, we are very happy to see a lot of young women, older women, any woman to succeed. Kasi yung issues that are harboring their growth are actually breaking the mold when it comes to how we should see women, that women can be strong, that women can do equally well, if not better, the things that men can do. These things need to be highlighted because these are the things that are really putting a pressure on women of society. And that's why, thank you to Hello Doctor. Please read more of their articles. Wonderful, wonderful work. Hopefully, in celebration of International Women's Day.
Yeah. Ang ganda actually ng coming from you, Doc Dex, because we need more allies, no, especially for women and those who fight for the welfare of our sisters, no. And that's why ang ganda ng feature ng ng Hello Doctor on International Women's Day, no, Stand Strong. And one of the things na tumatak sa akin talaga when you mentioned that, Doc Dex, so the societal pressure talaga, no? Parang ang daming responsibilidad na nakapatong on the woman, no? Na parang if a family falls apart, ang unang finger na ipo-point is towards the mother, the woman, no? And that is something that is very pervasive and very cultural. And we need something that disrupts that, no, for us to be able to see a more holistic side, no, in terms of how we approach the problem of mental health as well, no. And that is why kami ni Doc Dex, yung naabutan ko kanina, no, when Doc Dex was talking about our other endeavors, was about mental health. One of the things that we did before was to be able to reach out to different young professionals, really, and a lot of them, no, most of our participants were young females, no, and it has been, it has been overwhelming, the stories that they hear, and each story needs to be highlighted, no, because these are, mirrors of what is happening in our society. And it was just shared, no, ngayon lang, no, na maraming apart from the mental health challenges that women experience, meron ding mga sakit yung mga kababaihan natin, no, that might affect also their overall their well-being in general. And that is something that we have to also highlight when we talk about mental health, because mental health is actually a testament of how health should be viewed in a perspective of the whole person. And that includes, that includes the work, that includes physical health, that includes the family dynamic, family relationship, no? And that is why more than what we do in Alaga Health, it's actually an advocacy, no, for health in all of its forms, no, because health is found in all, and everything is found in health as well, and that includes mental health. So yeah, ang daming ma-share. Actually, I'm more interested in hearing stories from Filipino women, no. Ang ganda po ng feature ni Miss Kai, no, and sila Miss Bianchi have written different features for women in Hello Doctor. So it's worth a read po talaga if you want to unwind, if you want to de-stress also.
I agree dun sa sinabi ni Doc Via. Go ahead, Doc Dex, please.
Actually, dagdag ko lang talaga kasi tanong nila, bakit kailangan special episode for women and mental health? Kasi physiology alone, meron ng difference, no? Babae ang nagbubuntis, babae ang nakakaranas ng period na kung saan, kunyari, moody sila, babae lang naman sila sabihin, ay, kaya siguro masungit yan ngayon kasi may period. No? My gosh, basic things that are happening in everyday conversation. Ay, nako, nagtatry na yan kasi, kulang ng action with Mister. Yung mga ganong little conversation things that happen in real life, right? Plus, the fact that sila din lang yung nakakaramdam ng pressure in terms of work na may barrier. For example, a barrier to enter work or being hired or staying in your job. Kasi we see the trends wherein there are some employers that do not hire women because they are sure or pretty positive that they will lose roughly at least 9 months of work from this person, yet still pay that employee for their services kasi they have maternity leave among many others. And that is not the same with men. And those structural issues, kailangan natin i-address kasi, again, babae lang yung nakakaramdam ng ganong pressure na, pag pala nagdala ko ng new life into this world, parang ako pa yung masama, ako pa yung hindi pwedeng magkaroon ng benefits. Ako na nga yung nakakaranas ng kung ano-anong hormonal changes, kaya ako irritable o medyo mas madaling malungkot, and now I'm being blamed for my actions just on that without understanding the context. So all of these really need to be talked about, and kudos to Hello Doctor for setting this up.
Thank you, Doc Dex, for recognizing that. Kasi honestly, I think ako pa lang naman yung nagkaroon ng anak dito, no? Na-experience ko talaga yung pregnancy discrimination. Not sure if that is in the law, okay? First time, did you know that I was supposed to be a producer for one of the biggest music channels in 2000 era, right? And I disclosed to the person who interviewed me that I had just found out I was pregnant, and only because of that, my friend, batch classmate ko sa UP, he was already a producer there. He told me, bakit mo sinabi? Sabi ko, yun yung totoo eh. Diba? Even if I didn't say it then. Right, Doc V? Parang, why are you punishing me for being honest? Right? So sabi niya, yun daw yung reason. And then second, also, when I was already, pregnant and showing, and I was, long before the word community manager was a job, diba? I was already doing that for one of the biggest FMCG multinationals. And because I was about to give birth, ay sumakto siya, end of probation, hindi na po ako ni-regularize. Kahit na I was able to grow the community then. So, thank you for pointing that out, Doc Dex, no? Marami pa rin, sa panahon, that was 2000s, di ba? Akalain mo nangyayari pa siya, no? So, and hindi lang yun no? As a woman with tattoos, as a woman with piercings, I have gone to job interviews where they ask me, can you remove your nose piercing once you start working here? Or can you wear long sleeves so you can hide those tattoos? I have 2 ones on my wrists. Eh, paano yung dalawang maliit ko sa ankles ko, magagaon ako araw-araw? Diba? Does that affect the kind of woman or human being I am? This is why women are prone to questioning themselves or blaming themselves even after abuse. Ganyan. So, I want to bring to light yung imposter syndrome na tinatawag, Doc Mia, no? Kasi I see this in a lot of, even on LinkedIn, a lot of women post about imposter syndrome. What is it, and why are women more vocal? No, I'm not saying men aren't going through it too, but why is it parang more prevalent in women?
I think I speak for a lot of people here who are watching us, no, nanonood sa atin ngayon, na this might be a label to things na nararamdaman na natin, no, na parang yung perception ng ibang tao sa atin would be we're so active, ang dami nating ginagawa, but why do we feel like we're a fraud. Na para bang wala akong believe sa sarili ko. And a lot of it might have been attributed to how connected we are, no? Na kasi each of us, hindi natin may iwasan na we are up, um, we can sneak into the lives of other people, no? Because of how social media has been very much accessible, no? And we cannot help but, compare also how we are versus how we see them in their social media accounts, no? And I think that has contributed to the prevalence of imposter syndrome. Parang siguro kasi mas marami na tayong avenues to be able to talk about it. Mas napapag-usapan siya ngayon. But I think it has been pervasive even before. One of the things that we wanted to be able to highlight pag sa imposter syndrome is that yung alam mo yung feeling na parang hindi ko deserve ganun. Even if people are telling me, ang galing-galing mo, even if your track record speaks for itself, no, na parang you've finished this, you've achieved this, you have accomplished this, parang kulang pa rin siya, no? You feel in yourself that you are a fraud and that parang hindi mo siya deserve. Or parang hindi naman ganyan talaga. Like how may disjunct, parang may disconnect doon sa perception ng person sa iyo and how you perceive yourself. I think that would best describe how a person who might have been experiencing imposter syndrome would look like, no? And that's probably because of one of the attributes of that can be pointed out pag ganyan is that we tend to compare how we are versus how others are as well, no? And that has been exacerbated or emphasized because of social media then, no? And I think that is something that needs to be addressed also. Social media etiquette, no? Given na we're gonna be living in this world, no, in a very digitalized world, I think there needs to be a redesigning of how one can perceive how one takes in stimulus from social media, yung lahat ng nakikita natin, no? Kailangan po yung i-process, no? How do we perceive that, no? And at the same time, how do we project also? So as we don't trigger something, no? We don't aggravate a condition that is already bad, no? Because social media is not inherently bad. Hindi rin siya inherently good, no? It really depends on how we are going to be setting parameters in terms of using it, in terms of optimizing how we can use it, no? Kasi ang dami nating nagagawa sa social media, honestly, no? Campaigns have been launched just because of social media. Ang daming nagawa dahil ginamit yung social media, no? But it goes both ways, no? And yun yung namin actually ni Doc Dex. So part of how we would do our mental health programs in our other firm. Hindi kami masyado kaming maraming time ni Doc Dex, no? We actually create programs for mental health, no? Of course with a team of experts as well. We call it Experto Play Labs, no? Nag-plug ako bigla. But it's something that we also believe in kasi we want mental health to not just be confined to how we know it right now, no? And we want to break the boundaries that are currently happening, no, in social media, in a very digitalized society, no? So it's something that we want to work on, especially in terms of breaking the barriers doon sa preventing or aggravating imposter syndrome, especially how it impacts mental health for women then. Yeah.
Let me just add to that very quickly, though.
Yeah, go, Doc.
We have already conducted hundreds of sessions with different companies and schools, and we're starting to see a pattern. Particularly, ang laki ng impact ng social media as to how women perceive themselves. More for women than men for some particular reason. And I'll probably give you a windshield feedback on how that goes. So based on and this is corroborated, no, there are separate research for it, and it is corroborated by our own data. That's so many people reflecting the similar scenario. Now, at least for women, the tendency to compare is more prevalent because of the pressures of society and the way that they can now easily compare the life of others to their own life. And that is why this was a big issue, especially even in the States, that a particular multimedia software communications company already knew that it was harming the mental health and well-being of teenage girls in particular, yet it continued to bombard them with ads that will force them to compare how their body sizes look, what color their skin is, who has no pores. Hindi naman po tayo lahat super Korean novela, superstars na nasan, ano ka pinapawisan? Yung tatanong ko talaga, nasan yung pores mo? Pero
Correct, Doc.
Iba ata yung hangin sa South Korea, Doc Dex.
Pag gusto ko mag-stay lang para mawala lang yung pores. Pero going back to the point, they already knew, and not just on that particular social media platform, but all other social media platforms, because they can easily now add filters and make their lives appear more vibrant. The single photo that you see on a particular platform, I don't want to name drop, on a particular platform, that probably took 5, 10, 15 takes with post-editing and filters just to have that perfect shot. But for those viewing the photos and being drowned in the content, the tendency to compare is so huge. That's why the imposter syndrome can really rear its head. Well, sakto talaga yung rear its head dun sa segment
On cue.
ng cat. On cue. I love it. Kasi iisipin mo, ay, ito ako, nakaupo, nakatunganga sa kama, nagre-relax, or after work, pagod. Pero pag scroll mo, ay siya, kaka-shopping lang, 10 bags ng Gucci. O kaya naman, ay, kalilipad lang ng friend, nakaka-engage lang niya. Buti pa siya, walang pores. Buti pa siya, ang sexy-sexy, ang ganda ng bagong damit. And siya na-promote ang daming reasons for them to feel more insecure. And this is actually one of the reasons why, side kwento, in the States, big concern na teenagers, young girls, because of the mental pressures, are being driven to have very early on plastic surgery just so that they can look like the photos that have filters online. Ganun na ka-extreme. And it's something na we hopefully will be able to help mitigate by having a counter-narrative. Meaning, through platforms like hellodoctor.com.ph, Alaga Health Expert to Play Labs, for example, we can counter the narrative that you are not enough or that you will never be enough and replace that with the notion that you are enough, your feelings are valid, and that there is no reason for you to be afraid because abante ang babae.
Yes, Doc. Super relate ako doon. I was saying in our private chat, nakaka-relate ako doon sa imposter syndrome. Alam to ni Kaya, I always vent to her na parang sometimes the pressure from the world or my peers, mas matindi yung pressure that I put on myself. Alam niyo yun, na parang hindi naman nila pinopost yun just to affect me like directly, di ba? Pero it's more how I perceive it, na parang oh my gosh, naka-Europe na siya, yun yung bucket list ko, mga ganun. Not just that, yung mga life milestones, like women are pressured to follow a certain timeline na, oh my gosh, 2 na yung anak niya. Alam niyo yun, I know a lot of us can relate. I'm in my mid-30s, so yung mga high school kabatch ko, mga 2 kids, 3rd kid, ganyan na. So parang, and of course, the pressure from our elders, di ba? Hindi naman mawawala yun. But I wanted to ask din sana, aside from that imposter syndrome, yung pressures of society sa practice nyo or dun sa mga natulungan nyo na pong young women or women of a certain age na, ano po yung mga other common issues na nag-a-affect sa mental health nila? Paano nyo po sila in-advise? So, I ask this para po sa mga viewers natin na baka going through the same thing, di ba? Para we can help them din. Is it anxiety or depression? So, maybe Doc V can start.
All right. So, we actually started happy hour, no, na magbabalik na po soon. So, sana po,
Yes.
we would love to have a Hello Doctor will still be with us, no? Lifetime na yun ata for Hello Doctor, no? More than just our partners, they are our friends, no? And going back to the question ni Miss Bianchi, no? We've been starting or we've been doing happy hour before we did it in coffee shops, no? Mga ilang years na ba tayo, Doc Dex? 5 years, no?
Yeah.
Or more, 5 or more, no? And one of the things that we usually encounter dun sa mga young adults, na young women, yung mga kaedad ko, is the pressure of being different people at the same time. No, na parang a career woman, a mother, a wife, at a very young age, no? Na dapat by this time you're earning like this. But at the same time, i-juggle mo na magkaanak. And at the same time, you're gonna juggle being a wife. And at the same time, you're gonna juggle supporting also some of our family members, no? So parang sandali, no? Yun yung mga pressures and issues that we usually encounter for young women. And this gives them a lot of feelings of anxiety. No, now what if I cannot be that person at the same time? No, and sometimes those na yung mga episodes of anxiety nila, no, becomes worse. So much so na nagkakaroon na sila ng physical manifestations, no? One of the things na nanonotice namin also is, because of the advancements in technology, mas maraming na-diagnose na ngayon with PCOS, no? For especially with young women, no? And that is triggered actually yung manifestations niya of irregular cycles. One of the triggers is stress talaga. And how can you, for example, as a person, no, who is expected to wear different hats at the same time, that's why that is very stressful, to say the least, no? And that will have effects in your physical health. So hindi ka lamang nagkaroon ng mental well-being challenges in your mental health, mental well-being, nagkaroon ka pa ng physical manifestations. Some of them might also be, yung parang nagka-hyperventilate na lang sila, nagkaka-panic attack sila all of a sudden. Some of them will have gastroesophageal reflux, nagkaka-GERD sila because of the stress, no? And that has to have a holistic approach, when we want to be able to solve that. Kasi that's actually the burnout actually from the society, from the pressures, no? Is one of the triggers of young women that we have worked with, no? And nakakatuwa, no, na sana we can feature some of their stories kasi everyone needs to be heard, no? Especially stories of women. It's amazing how they have gone through that, and sometimes it takes a lot of them to break and bend, no? So yun, I think that's one of the concerns talaga. It's the anxiety, and sometimes nagkakaroon ng depressive episodes. Nagkakaroon ng parang feeling nila they're a failure because at the age of say 30, no? Wala pa silang car, wala pa silang asawa, wala pa silang anak, no? And then sometimes what you would tell them, really for single, whether you're single, you're married, no, it's okay, no, you shouldn't bend to whatever pressure there is, no. And ito pa yung notice ko, no? Usually for occasions na sa Valentine's Day, let's say like that, no? Para ang daming single women, even single men, single people who have been, under a lot of pressure because of not having a partner. So, one of the things that we wanted to emphasize, and this is way back in college, no, is that we should celebrate single blessedness.
Yes.
Whether for especially for women, no? Sa ating mga dyan po, sa mga hindi pa nila nahanap or wala po silang, they're enjoying their being single. We have to always emphasize, hashtag single blessedness. Anyway, no, but those are the things that I think we need to talk about, especially when we discuss mental health with societal first.
Yeah, to add to what Doc V shared, actually, dyan ako, at saka yung sinabi rin ni Doc Dex kanina, dyan ako, i-mention ko na, no, na this month, because it's Women's Month, we're launching our once a month mental health Facebook Live. So it's a mental health support Facebook Live, of course, with
Yes.
Happy Hour Philippines and with Empath PH. And hopefully po, if Frances Salas is watching, hopefully with Lean In Philippines also, we are big fans of Sheryl Sandberg, di ba? That gesture of leaning in a boardroom, di ba? Lean in
Yeah.
and then be part of the discussion. So the theme of the first episode, which will be on March 24 at 5 o'clock, is I Am Enough. And this is a regional initiative. It's supposed to be a personal project namin nila Madin, nila Bianchi, but we decided to bring it here. Madin is the editor-in-chief of Hello Sehat in Indonesia. So there will be 5 countries supporting our first mental health support Facebook Live, where we will highlight our communities, no? And our mental health champions. Um, yeah, so yun lang. Naalala ko kasi kahapon, Women's Day, di ba? And someone I work with assumed that because it was International Women's Day, I should have received flowers from my husband. And I said, I neither have a husband nor flowers. Sabi ko, but I am happy. Like, and then, so natigilan siya. So ako parang, yeah, single does not mean lonely. 'Di ba? It's not the same thing. We need to, kasi we romanticize that in movies, in songs, 'di ba? In mga soap operas na pag kailangan lagi
True.
may leading man, leading woman, they end up together, 'di ba? Life is different, no? Life is not as black and white as we were raised to believe. Okay? And there are many complexities in human relationships that cannot be defined. And that's okay. 'Di ba? Um, yeah, so question, Justin. You have a question? Tahimik si Justin eh.
Yes, sige, I have a question. So, may nabasa kasi ako before na parang comic strip sa Facebook. Parang ang scenario, so mag-asawa sila, may baby, tapos may bisita sila. So, in-entertain ni husband yung bisita, tapos nagluluto yung yung wife. Tapos, umiyak yung baby, so pinuntahan niya yung baby. Tapos, nasunog yung niluluto niya. So, parang, na-stress si ate, tapos na-stress din si husband. So, sabi niya, ba't hindi ka humingi ng help sa akin? Bakit hindi mo sinabi sa akin para tinulungan kita? So, parang, pinakita dun sa mga next slides nung comic strip na, yung babae sa household, especially, malaki yung hawak nilang mental load. Kasi sila yung nag-organize sa groceries, yung madaming list of groceries, appointments ng mga bata, check-ups, sa trabaho nila. So parang, siguro ang question ko po regarding that comic strip, paano tayo as part of our household, how we can help the women within our household carry those mental weight or mental loads? Doc.
Okay. I'm interested in how Doc Dex will answer this. Pero I think nag-freeze si Doc Dex. But,
Yeah.
or baka i-freeze ko muna to. Wait, Doc B. Nag-ano talaga si Doc Dex, na-disconnect siya. But anyway, that is a very very important question to ask. No, paano ba natin matutulungan yung mga kababaihan, sa ating pamamahay, no? And this is important, something that we always emphasize in happy hour, in anything, no? The normalization of asking kamusta ka, no? And that's a way for us kasi sometimes ayaw kasi natin na pangunahan din sila, no? Because there might be things that they want to do also on their own, no? And that's the importance of, and that's the power of kamusta ka, no? It is an invitation for them, no, to tell you how they are and what they need help with also. Kasi in a scenario, no, walang may kasalanan doon sa whatever is happening or whatever mishaps that has happened, for example, in the home. No, what is important is you look out for each other, no, and that starts with a simple kamusta ka, no, even if kasama natin sila sa ating bahay, no, we always see them, no, we always have to ask, a person how they are, no, kasi sometimes there are things na hindi natin nakikita, no? There are things na baka hindi natin nararamdaman, no? Baka okay lang sila, no? In our perspective, pero deep down pala, they would need help. Sometimes also, nahihiya lang po yung mga kasama natin na mag-ask. No one wants to be a burden to another person, no? And that's something that we want to be able to shatter, no, na no one is a burden to another, no. What we need to do is to be able to really ask each other how they are, and we start that with a simple, very very simple kamusta ka, and we emphasize that, no, kamusta ka na, o ano kailangan mo, or because that opens a lot of possibility. Actually, that simple kamusta ka will open a lot of doors, and that is the power that it holds, no. So for us to be able to help women in our families, in the society, a simple kamusta ka will actually do wonders. And eto na, no, I'm interested in hearing his answers, Ang question, Doc Dex, ni Sir Justin, is how can we help, women, especially if, for example, ang dami nilang kailangang gawin, no, and wala silang chance to be able to ask for help.
Thank you for that question. No, I hope you can hear me. Yeah. Okay, great. One of the things that I'd love to emphasize is that you don't have to be a woman to advocate for women. You don't have to be a particular gender to champion the rights of women. So I highly encourage everyone to be champions for women's health and well-being. Napakahalaga kasi na maintindihan mo kung saan sila nanggagaling. Kasi hindi dahil ang isang bagay ay hindi mo nararanasan personally, hindi ka nabubuntis, wala kang monthly menses, wala kang nararanasan na discrimination at the workplace, hindi ka nakakaranas ng societal pressures to hit particular milestones. Ay, si ate, lagpas na ng 30 years old, tapos hindi pa siya kasal, wala pa siyang baby, tapos lagpas na siya sa kalendaryo. Pressures that you might not necessarily have. It doesn't mean that you cannot push society, push for policies, create programs, spread awareness and knowledge like what hellodoctor.com.ph is doing alongside Alaga Health, to tell them that that is not supposed to be how life should be. That every woman is valuable, that every woman is enough by themselves, that they don't need to prove anything to have worth, because everyone is important. And one of the best ways to do that is not just highlighting that in beautiful words or phrases, but living it out. Treat women with respect. Defend them when they are in need of defending, especially in public places wherein they are more prone to being catcalled, for example, or being victims of sexual abuse. This happens even in public. Or on the flip side, do not also underestimate the capacity and capability of women. Avoid mansplaining. Give them the open floor to express everything that they want to say. And at the same time, do acknowledge that they can do things equally well or even better than you. And these things need to be done as part of habit, as part of our pure embracing of the value of women, and not just during International Women's Day, but every day of the year. Because the best way to celebrate International Women's Day is to value our women every day.
Napakaganda ng sinabi ni Doc Dex. Thank you po. And Doc V,
Yeah.
thank you po.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been, another wonderful but very short discussion.
Yeah,
One
1 hour na.
1 hour. Yeah, it's not enough when we spend time with Doc Dex and Doc V. But the good news is our series with Doc Joan Refarial, who's also part of the Happy Hour for Mental Health team. Our series of interviews with her on women's mental health are already on the website.
Yes.
So please visit them. She talks about recovering from trauma or PTSD, the effects of sexual harassment, and why should self-care not be optional for moms. And then she also talks about the ideal place we want to be. Di ba yung sinasabing we have a to-do list, pero if we are putting together a to-be list, and we want to be the mentally and emotionally healthy woman because this has an effect on our physical health. Meron kaming episode with Doc John, that's episode 4. And the final episode is about basically coping with mental health issues. So pag nakumpleto mo yon, parang ready ka na ulit to face the world. And of course, since we are streaming via StreamYard, not just on Kumu, but also on our Facebook, you can always rewatch this episode. And if meron po kayong tanong, you need help from Doc Via, Doc Dex, please message us. We will connect you with them. You can also download the Alaga Health app. Just go to alagahealth.com. Meron po tayong nag-start na ako maka-receive ng mga stories ng mga matatapang na babae who have come forward to say, I need help with my mental health. Thank you to Miss Jessica Espanto and the In Touch community mental health experts for extending 3 free mental health counseling sessions to 3 women. So, yung mga nag-share po ng stories, tulad po ng sinabi namin sa aming post, your story, any data you share with us will not be used for any other purpose other than for us to assess how we can best support you. So please keep your letters coming, and we will find the way to help you. Okay, so to close the today's episode, before I pass it on to Bianchi and Justin, and of course Doc B and Doc Dex, siguro yun lang, number one, ang takeaway ko lang dito is to check on your strong friend. No, sometimes it's the ones who look like they're strong and they're okay, who are taking care of others who also need caring. No, so check on your strong friend. Tama si Doc B, just ask them how they are. Okay? Bianchi or Justin, you want to go next?
Yeah, just to speak to that, check on your strong friend. Lalo na yung mga moms, single moms. Ako as a panganay, parang we're wired a certain way na parang we can handle everything. Alam mo yon na parang up here, di ba? Parang, hindi, carry yan, ganyan. Pero deep inside, parang bigla na lang it sneaks up on you na, shucks, magme-meltdown na ako. So, it's very important to check in with your friends, but also check in on yourself. Kaya ko pa ba talaga? Yung totoo. So, if not, be honest with yourself and seek help. Help will always be there, diba? As we always say. We're always here for you at Hello Doctor and Alaga Health. So, maraming salamat for always tuning in. Excited na ako for our next episode. So, thank you po, Doc V, Doc Dex, Justin, and Kai. Nag-enjoy ako. Hindi ko na malaya ng 1 hour as always. So, thank you very much.
Yes. Siguro ako naman, super important itong conversation na to, di ba? Tapos related dun sa sinabi ni Kai and Bianchi. na check on your strong friends. So parang si Luisa sa Encanto, 'di ba? Na binubuhat niya lahat. Walang nagtatanong kasi ang ina-assume ng lahat, siya yung pinaka-strong sa family. Kaya niyang buhatin lahat. Well, in fact, hindi na niya kinakaya. So, it's very important na kausapin natin sila. Yung sabi nga ni Doc Via, 'di ba? Yung simpleng kumusta ka to start a conversation is very important. So, another highlight ng conversation na to for me is empathy and kindness. Sabi nga ni Miss Kathy Babaw sa isang natin before Facebook live natin before, diba? Kindness is really the currency of our time. So, yun lamang po. Thank you to Doc V. Thank you Doc Dex, Kai, and Bianchi.
I will go first, Doc Dex. You know the drill. So again, no, maraming salamat, Miss Kai, Sir Justin, Miss Bianchi, strong warriors and advocates for women. You should really check out their articles, about not only about the features on International Women's Day, but also their articles about women's health. Marami po sila sa hellodoctor.com.ph. If you want to know more, no, if you want to understand better po yung ating mga nanay, mga kapatid na babae, ate, kaibigan, no, significant others. So let's know more about them and try to understand them a little bit better. Kasi maganda yung sinabi ni Sir Justin, no, kindness is really the currency of our time right now, and it won't hurt, no? It really won't hurt to be to choose to be kind every day, no? And that includes also being kind to ourselves, no? As what I have always said, no, being kind to ourselves is also how we would show kindness to others, because we cannot give what we do not have, no? If we want to extend kindness to others, we should first extend it to ourselves muna, no? Kasi mauubos tayo, no, pag hindi natin in-exemplify yung pagiging mabait sa sarili natin, pagiging selfless din also for ourselves, no? So it's really not one over the other. By loving ourselves, it's also our way of showing that we also are ready to extend love to another. And most especially, this is true, no, for all the women out there who have been very strong, very resilient, no. Okay lang po na minsan hindi po tayo okay, no? And that shouldn't be a metric of who you are and what your value is as a person. You are enough and you are loved. Help is always there, no? And thank you again, no, Hello Doctor, for this, no? And of course, if you need, any help, if you have any concerns, no, please contact us at Alaga Health. No, we are ready. We have doctors who are willing to help you, and of course, there are a lot, in store for us, no, with hellodoctor.com.ph. Please visit their site. Ang gaganda po ng articles doon. And again, thank you very much. Hindi ko naramdaman na 1 o'clock na pala, no? We'll see you again po next time, and stay tuned po sa marami pa naming mga initiatives, no, not only for women but also for health and for mental health.
Thanks for that, Doc V. And again, and so to speak, all I want to say is thank you again for joining us in another wonderful episode of Kumusta Doc, live on Kumu and also on Facebook and of course even YouTube. And we're very, very excited. Sana makita-kita po tayo ulit dito every Wednesday. Siguro to end things, may panawagan na lang po ako. Ikaw man ay isang lalaki, isang babae, isang Bruno, isang Mars. Ipakita natin ang kapangyarihan ng kababaihan at palaganapin natin ang kaalaman sa kalusugan. So, check out hellodoctor.com.ph para sa makabuluhang babasahin. At pumunta naman po sa alagahealth.com kapag gusto mong gumaling. So, see you all next week and have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone. See you next week.
Bye.